Welcome to This Week in Hearing. I'm Bob Traynor, your host for this episode. Today, my guest is Anthony Florek, the CEO of Soundwave and the makers of the Sontro over-the-counter hearing aid. Subscribers to This Week in Hearing will recall that Tony and I had a discussion last spring sometime, way before the legalization of the over-the-counter products. So welcome back to This Week in Hearing, Tony, and thanks for coming in and discussing the Soundwave product and the Sontro to give us at least an update and an orientation. We've spent so much time with our colleagues telling us all about this is what it is and how it's going to work and all those things. We haven't spent a lot of time talking with the actual manufacturers of these products.
Great. Bob, thanks for having me, and thanks for This Week in Hearing for sponsoring. So I thought I'd just remind the folks a little bit about my background, and then we can talk about Soundwave Hearing, and we talk about the product and the technology and the regulations and some of the changes since we spoke.
That's a great way to begin, because many people may have missed our first discussion, and of course we've had a number of people that have begun their subscriptions since the springtime. So how did you get all involved with Soundwave and in the hearing industry and all these kinds of things?
Right. I'll try and give you 30 years of medical device history in 3 minutes. So I was actually in eyeballs and cataract implants and phacoemulsification and LASIK. And then I for 15 years, and then I started to work my way down the body to ears and ran a branded network in corporate stores. The managed care responsibilities like training and sales administration and all that fun stuff. And then I decided to venture out on my own and ended up at a health tech incubator called Matter in Chicago, and met these folks from a company called Resonance Medical, which came out of the Northwestern's Invo program. And they were actually putting a hearing test on a mobile phone. That was in the beginning of 2017, right when all this OTC started to percolate. And later that year, the OTC was signed into law. I was helping them commercialize the product. And we met with a lot of global manufacturers. We just had software. There wasn't any hardware. So I decided to go out on my own and venture into the hardware space. I've got two partners, Chris Boven, who was on our last podcast, and Joe Turek. And Joe is our chief engineering officer. He's in charge of the design of our hardware. He has a lot of contract manufacturing experience and global supply chain management experience. And Chris Boven is our technology officer, and he's really the architect behind the design of the AutoTune software, which really drives our entire business model.
These guys were totally highly qualified, as I recall. Chris with his background and the software engineers and some of those people. So it isn't just two dudes sitting in a room kind of putting together a couple of things. This is a very well researched system that is designed specifically for over-the-counter use.
Yes, and we spent 3 years developing it while the FDA was putting together the regulations. So we started Soundwave Hearing in 2018. We bought the Resonance Medical and the assets and the software and the patents, and we put together the AutoTune software along with our hardware and came out with our Sontro OTC hearing aid product earlier this year. The regulations, as everyone knows, were passed or published on October 17th. And we've been off and running since then. And it's been a fun, exciting experience to test our business model in the marketplace and really drive towards partnerships with the audiology community and hearing care providers.
So. Great. Now, I understand there's been some changes in the Sontro device in terms of maybe not so much in the hardware component, but as I understand, more in the software side of the devices themselves.
You bet. So if everyone remembers, we're a 16-channel receiver in the canal, VTE. We have a toggle switch and two directional microphones. Fits nicely behind the ear. Very small and compact device. And really what drives our business model is the software, the AutoTune. And some changes that we've made since then is three things that we think really differentiate our product and our value proposition from all the other OTC products out there. One is how we test the hearing. How we customize the hearing. It's comparable to the gold standard, which is the audiogram. So we do it and test hearing, a patient's hearing in situ through the hearing aids. We test all the frequencies and the intensities in both ears in 3 minutes. We do it on a mobile phone. It works on both platforms. And it's not a pick and click or anything of the sort. So nice customization to someone's hearing loss. And when the hearing test is over, the patient presses a button and programs the hearing aids in 15 seconds. And that's number one. Number two is if they fall outside of our mild to moderate indications, since we are a FDA Class 2 medical device, registered medical device. We're an OTC hearing aid. We will soon be a self-fitting OTC hearing aid. But we abide by those fitting parameters. And if a patient has an asymmetric loss or falls outside those parameters, with a severe or profound loss, we give the patients a warning message that says, hey, take the hearing test again, make sure you get the same kind of warning message. And if you do, you really need to see a hearing provider. And what we plan, our next public release, probably in early Q1, is we'll have a mechanism for those patients to put in their zip code, and we can geo-track a network member, and we can send those patients to a hearing care provider, which is ultimately what we want to do. So,
well, that's a refreshing kind of a thing, particularly with all the anxiety that a lot of the providers have relative to the OTC markets. But for an OTC partner that is will send them patients as well as work with them on the mild to moderate group. That's a refreshing statement, Tony.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's how we originally designed our business model. And flexibility is a big part of it. And when I ran a network, all the great ideas came from the providers because they work with the patients every day. So providers ask me questions all the time, and I listen. And I try and take all that information and continue to put it into the features and benefits of our software. So thank you for recognizing that, and we're super proud to partner. We're not trying to disintermediate anybody, or this industry in particular. I think we're one of the few OTC manufacturers that are approaching it this way, and I think it's a great approach. And we've been at AAA twice, we've been at IHS, we've been at AudBoss, we've been at all these meetings, and I have industry experience. We've got a nice team of expertise that's developing our hardware and our software. And I have the expertise in the sales and the marketing and distribution. And so I think our founding team is well established, a lot of industry experience, and I think the partnerships really work. And the third bucket that differentiates us from all other OTC products is our partnership with Amptify. So most folks know about Amptify down in St. Louis, and Nancy Ty Murray and Chris Cardinal run a great team down there. And our partnership is really special. So it's a 12-week curriculum. We provide the first month free at no charge. The patients can sign up through the OtoTune app. And the first week of the curriculum really focuses on the setup of the Sontro hearing aids. Right, so it's FAQs, it's how-to videos, it's all that fun direction that sometimes patients like and can use, and then they get to participate with a peer support community. They get a hearing health coach. They get Zoom calls to help them with anything live with their hearing health coach. They have certainly all the Amptify brain training games through the app, which is a great way to support the whole patient. So if they have communication breakdowns, or they want to learn how to become a more effective listener, or how to speech read, all those things that go with the Amptify curriculum really set us apart. So we're not just selling a device that amplifies; we're trying to support the whole patient journey.
Now, I have one of the successes even with the DTC products has always been the supplemental follow-up that has been given, and with the over-the-counter products, this is the first time I've heard that there's a supplemental rehabilitative kind of thing, activity that goes along with it. And there's nobody better than Nancy to provide that, as known her for many, many years, and as a high level professional in oral rehabilitation. So that's a great partnership that you've found yourself with. One of the things too, though, that I think is the hard part for clinicians. And so if I'm sitting in my clinic, I'm thinking, okay, I know I need to have some OTC products in my office, and I don't want to deal with some, and I do want to deal with others, but maybe this one or that one or the other. My understanding is that you don't just put your product on a drugstore shelf. You're working more with clinicians in their clinics to be the OTC provider. Can you tell me a little about that? Tell us a little about how that works and your relationships and the interactions with colleagues.
Yeah, and so far, my interactions with the hearing care providers and the audiology community has been extraordinarily positive. People want more information. People want to understand how to help more people. Certainly, it's not across the board, but as people understand more about our value proposition and our business model and what we're trying to do, they ask more questions and they become interested. So when I ran a network, and I think we may have done the math before, but I'm going to reiterate it because I think it's impactful. So we're positioning our product for the tested, not treated patients, right? So if there's 10 hearing evaluations in a given week, 40% of the time on average, folks are walking out with nothing. And because of the marketing expense to get them into the chair and the chair time, that could run $1,000, $1,200. There might be $700, $800 of marketing expense per patient. There might be $200 or $300 of chair time. And it's a really inefficient business model if they're walking out with nothing. So if we can somehow capture those patients, those tested, not treated patients with an OTC product, because they might be a younger patient, they might be a patient that has a more mild to moderate loss, they might not see the value in a higher priced hearing aid just at this point in their journey. Can we keep them in the provider's purview of care? Can we keep them in their ecosystem versus going to a Walmart or going online or going down the street or doing nothing? So we can start the journey of hearing amplification with a younger patient. That's
yeah, idea. And I know I'm speaking for virtually all audiologists and even dispensers as well, who've listened to a patient say, well, I know I have a little hearing loss, but it's not really that bad. And by that bad, they're saying it's not the traditional high cost products. It's bad enough to need something, but not that bad. So
right.
So your approach is correct. And and as Mike Valente told us a few months ago, the OTC products are probably the best marketing that audiology and hearing loss and amplification ever had, just because it's in the news all the time, and people are beginning to hear about it, and they know they need this, but they don't want to do that, and all these different things. And so I see that your system is kind of moving toward that. So if I'm a clinician and sitting in my clinic and I say, okay, Tony, I want to work with your company, how do I go about doing that?
Sure. So a couple ways. We're selling through audiology wholesalers like Westone and Microsonic, and in conversations with Oak Tree and Warner Tech, right, to provide our product, because that might be a route providers want to do because they order their supplies from those companies. We're part of buying groups like OdConnects and Fuel Medical and others. So those are ways to access our products. Certainly, you could go on to Soundwave.com. We have a professional page. You can sign up for a wholesale account in about 3 minutes, and we can supply you with product right from our fulfillment center. So kind of 2 or 3 different ways to approach it. And I think what I'm seeing out there is folks actually stocking the product. So if they have the option for the tested, not treated patient, or they might have an option for the folks that are walking in and just asking about OTC and are just focused on OTC, right? So you don't want to send those folks somewhere else. You want to capture them and fit them or send them home with the product where they can do it themselves. So that the providers are approaching it different ways. So if certainly having product in stock is step one, and then I'm seeing more and more providers starting to advertise through their website. So getting involved in the digital marketplace, because if they're not, other providers will, or other drug retailers will. So I think you really have to have a digital presence in your marketplace through your website. And whether you sell it on your website or you're just talking about it and educating and advertising, you need to do all the above. If folks need help and they want to fulfill it on their website, we have an option to do that as well. You can contact me directly, and we have a whole affiliate program that we can help you do and fulfill product. Obviously, we'll sell it to you so you can stock it. And some of the other folks that are really on the leading edge are opening up OTC hearing aid offices that are supporting their other brick and mortar offices that provide prescription hearing aids. So I'm seeing really a whole spectrum of ideas come from this very creative group of audiologists and hearing care providers that are doing exactly what you're saying, Bob. They're trying to capture this share of the marketplace. I've never seen more press in my life around one topic, OTC hearing aids. It's the biggest lead generation program out there. And I think the providers have an incredible opportunity now to capture those younger patients.
Well, this is going to go from maybe a 20-25% penetration rate into the overall market and increase that substantially just because of the visibility and the ease by which patients can obtain a product, play with it a little bit, and I'm impressed with the Soundwave idea that you're going to send them to another colleague or back into the clinic for something that's more appropriate for their impairment if it doesn't fit. And again, so if I order products directly from one of the suppliers that you've mentioned, would we then work directly with Soundwave for repairs and some of those kinds of things?
Yeah, so we don't repair the product. We if we have a 1-year warranty on the hearing aid and the receivers, a 45-day money-back guarantee. So we'll if there's a warranty replacement, we'll replace the product within that 1 year. We'll soon, at the beginning of next year, have a lost, stolen, damaged policy on our website for $92. So folks can, everything that we do in the OTC marketplace is a la carte, right? So
sure,
it's hard for us to, we're not selling, a $4,000 or $5,000 hearing aid, prescription hearing that bundles all those extras in. So our menu is more a la carte. So we don't, and we're at a point now where we're struggling to keep up with the production. So
cool.
Yeah, which is great, which is fun. Good
cool.
problem to have. So unfortunately, we can't supply free demos like the global manufacturers oftentimes will. So we ask that you purchase a demo products so you can get familiar with our ordering system, get your wholesale account set up, or order through an audiology wholesaler or buying group. But train your staff. I'm happy to set up calls. I talk to a lot of folks in the audiology community every single day, every single week, who want me to help train their teams if they so desire. Happy to do that. Happy to help them understand how to position it for folks that are coming in or for their tested not treated patients. Happy to help them understand how to price the product, right? Most folks in the audiology community are bundling their prescription hearing aids. It's been done that way for a long, long time. But when you get below $1,000, does it make sense to bundle a product? I often get the question, well, I can buy a prescription hearing aid for $300 and sell it for $1,000. Why do I need yours? Well, why would you want to? Because when you do the math on the marketing cost that it still takes to get the patient in and the chair time, I don't think you're making much profit. So why don't you sell an OTC product that you can send the folks home with and still make some margin? You can do an a la carte service program for $250 or $300, which is what I'm hearing. So you can make $500 or $600 on that product, again, keeping them in your purview of care. So I think there's different ways to approach it, and I think this is one of a few, ideas that you should have in your cabinet solution. Please, there's a lot of global manufacturers that have hearables, right, with OTC indications. I think that should be part of a provider's cabinet solution, but certainly the Sontro OTC hearing aid should also be part of it.
Yeah, and the idea of the unbundling, where there's a cost for the product and then cost for the services that may go along with the product, and the follow up and some of those questions and counseling, much may be taken care of by the Amptify people. However, but when the free system kind of runs out, what does the person do? They either re-up with the Amptify people, or maybe have our practitioners kind of move in with an unbundled type of program. So
yeah, all the above. So we provide the first month free. They can sign up, certainly for month 2, month 3 with the Amptify folks. And what I love listening to providers. I love talking to providers because they're also trying to figure it out. I don't know that we have all the answers, but together I think we do. And it might be the front office that helps with an OTC product. I've had providers tell me that it might be a hearing care practitioner that's licensed that does it, or an assistant that does it. But certainly it's one of those ideas that people can test and figure out what works best for their individual practice. And it's fun having those conversations at the meetings and on the phone and with you, Bob, to explore that and then try and figure. So, the more I hear, the more I can become an expert on.
Well, I don't think it's just the manufacturers or just the clinicians. I think also the patients are trying to figure it out too. Virtually everybody, okay, let's scratch our head and how are we gonna interface within this system as a manufacturer, as a clinician, and as patients. It's been my opinion for a very long time that if you are an audiology clinic and you are a hearing center, then there's no reason why you shouldn't have all kinds of products relative to hearing and hearing loss within your clinic. There's no reason for people to go to Best Buy and buy a set of OTC hearing aids or headsets or any of the other kinds of things that go along with hearing impairment.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a quick other note, we have a Midwest-based customer support team as well. That's from Soundwave Hearing. So the patient can, and that's why we designed this product offering to be flexible. So whether it's the hearing care practitioner, the front office person, or someone else in their office, whether it's the Amptify team, whether it's the Soundwave customer support team, or if the individual wants to go to our website where we have user manuals and quick start guides and how-to videos. So there's different ways. Adults learn different ways, and they need support in different ways. So we designed our model to try and meet all those ways that we can support the patient.
Cool. So where do you see Soundwave and the Sontro product in the next couple of years, Tony?
Well, great question. So let me get out my crystal ball. But I hope that our distribution channels spread wide and spread deep. So because we want to be a national brand, and all these channels, because of the way we designed our app, lead to the hearing care practitioners. And that's how we designed it. So if we're on Amazon or Walmart.com, or if we're on Best Buy or in CVS or Walgreens stores, or all these independent drug retailers, I get a lot of interest from those folks. Or if we're in government channels, or we're in different online channels, I think whoever buys our product ultimately will need the next level of care, and we'll continue to direct that next level of care to the hearing care providers. Certainly, we hope to expand our growth with the audiology community. And yeah, we'd like to be a 25, a 50, $100 million company in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and have a robust product line. So in Q1 and Q2, we expect to have a streaming product. So currently we're Bluetooth enabled. We're on both iOS and the Android platform. We hope to have streaming in Q1 and rechargeability and streaming in Q2. We're not going to race to the bottom on price. Our MSRP is $999, but we'll waterfall the technologies down between $800 and $1,000 to give a couple of different price points for folks. But we don't have Super Bowl specials or that kind of stuff. I mean, we're just trying to. I don't think patients understand the difference between wide dynamic range compression and 16 channels and adaptive directionality, but they understand the difference in streaming and rechargeability, and that's how we'll differentiate our price points in the marketplace. And again, we want a robust product line. We're coming out with something called the AutoTune Assistant, which is our hearing test on a tablet with a set of headphones that are calibrated that the audiology community can use for health fairs or lunch and learns where they
or
can
point
kind
of
of
sale probably too.
yeah, or if
Uh,
they want, yeah. And so again, another tool to help those clinicians screen folks. Some of the drug retailers are interested in that product as well. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for folks to get their hearing checked one way or another. We have an online hearing test at hearsoundwave.com. So there's different ways for consumers to understand what their level of hearing loss is and what their amplification needs might be.
Yeah, it's we all found lots of differences with the COVID issues that happened to all of us with the advent of telehealth and teleaudiology, with being able to provide support for patients, even if it's just by phone or if it's by Zoom, and sometimes and in fact probably most of the time it isn't so much tune in the device. It's how do you stick it in your ear, and what are you going to do? And those are problems that are normal, and on and on and on. Just helping a new consumer right through the system, and so I would encourage our colleagues at This Week in Hearing to listen to the messages that we presented here today, and maybe at the next meeting, go by and talk with the people at Soundwave, as well as maybe some of the other OTC manufacturers as well, to begin your journey into the OTC market, because manufacturers, while many of them may not be necessarily the same on the OTC market, here's one that is interested in providing rehabilitative follow-up, as well as directing patients back in to the audiology clinic when necessary.
Bob, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that's why we're here, right? Anyway, but the deal is, again, I want to thank Tony Florek for being our guest today, the CEO of Soundwave, and the manufacturer of the Sontro over-the-counter product. And thanks again for giving us an update on the Sontro and the way in which the marketing strategy for Soundwave has kind of begun to interface into the traditional system of audiology and audiology clinics and dispensers as well.
Bob, thanks to you and This Week in Hearing, and I hope to learn and grow together. Very exciting time for hearing care providers in the audiology community.